Good morning, everybody. I'm gonna call the call to order the meeting. And if everybody would stand, we're gonna pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, all right. I'm going to introduce our officers. I'm the president, Sharon. Larry, he's the vice president. Bruce is our secretary. Gordon is our treasurer. And Steve is tech and membership. And our members at large, Bob Whalen, Dan Cook, Carol Taylor, Dick Tu, and Jim Oganoff. Okay. And we've got to always give a good thanks, special thanks to our donut wrangler, Dennis Abrams. Okay. All right, Bob, if you want to come up, we're going to do the fallen veterans here this morning.
We have 3 fallen veterans to recognize today, plus an honorary Sunflower Veterans Club member. The 3 members that have fallen that we want to recognize, and we'll recognize family and give families an opportunity later on. The first one we want to recognize is Joe Shambo. Next one we want to recognize is Richard Cullum. And the third one that we want to recognize is Pat Gabel. If everyone would rise for taps, please. We'll have a short video, and then we'll provide opportunities for anyone, including families, to make some comments. Thank you.
The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I'm done with you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They're like much more than I
especially when you were a crew chief in the beginning, it was like you walked on water. We did not have to do anything other than work on an aircraft. Nothing. We didn't have to go to training. We didn't have to do any standbys. We didn't have to do anything because we were crew chiefs. I went in the Air Force in 1963. And the reason I went in is because I like working on aircraft and engines and stuff. So I went in. I was a mechanic for 10 years. I worked on 102s, 106s, F4s, A7s, and I spent the longest time on F4s. I did the heavy maintenance on F4s. But the first time when I was in on the 102s, I was in Ramstein, Germany. And once I was in Ramstein, Germany, we worked on the flight line, but I was on the alert pad too, because that was a nuclear alert pad and I was qualified for that. So after that, I had orders for Cam Ranh Bay in Vietnam. I got to Cam Ranh Bay, and that's the 22nd replacement where they would send you wherever they needed. I got up there, the guy says, no, you're staying here, which was fine with me. And I took over they called the wheel and tire shop. On Sundays, we would go out to the orphanage and help them play with the kids. But then they told us, they gave us our flak vest and our helmet and our guns and even bullets. And we're like Barney Fife. We don't shoot guns. That's up to the Army. So when I went from there, I had orders to go back to Germany. In between that time, that 20 days I was home, I met Jodi. 10 days later, we were engaged. And the good part is I left back to Germany. So I was not involved in the wedding at all, except to come home and get married. My mother-in-law and Jodi did all that. Then I got orders to come back here to Tucson, or to come to Tucson, which I had to go look up because I didn't know where Tucson was. We moved here. We were here for 5 years. And then all of a sudden, 5 years was your mark. If you got past 5 years, you would stay till you retired. And I walked in and they gave me
The internet went down. Just give us a couple minutes here. We'll get it back going.
leaking fuel, but we had nukes on them because we did not know what was going to go on. So we were there all night. And that's, you went through that scenario, especially being in Germany. And then they realized when that happened, first thing they did was escort all the Europeans or Germans off the base. So it was just us and locked up. But then they realized if we did go to war and we did have to do all that, we had our dependents there. So then they had to figure out how to get the dependents out. So it was just a military base. Any place that had a computer that would go down, I had to go. And it kept me busy. In fact, the one time I went from Rhine to Texas, San Antonio. We had our meeting, and while we were in the middle of the meeting, they tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Oh, by the way, you have to go to Hawaii. They're having trouble." Okay, this is in the winter. So going to Hawaii was not, I liked it. Vietnam, it was, the only thing I really did in Vietnam was play cards. I used to go up to the RMK area, the civilians that did all the work, and play cards. If you go up there after 5 o'clock, they've been drinking all day. So you could win. They got a pair of aces, you got a pair of twos. "Well, I got 3 twos. Okay, no problem." They never argued with you. You could do anything you wanted over there. When you're a crew chief, you walk on water in the Air Force because they need you to do the amount of money they spend to train you. I went to work at the University of Arizona for 20 years. And what I did at the University of Arizona, first I started as just a computer input accounts and stuff. Then I moved up to facilities management. Then they put me in charge of the telecommunications when that started up. Then I was a project manager at the U. So I was doing 3 or 4 jobs at the same time. I was also director of computing at the university for a while. So I was busy for 20 years there. And then when I left there, I went volunteering at the VA. And then I became a VSO.
Somewhere between raising hell and amazing grace is a place I keep finding myself. Yeah, I get a little crazy trying to have a little fun. Then I end up back where I started from, down on my knees. I pray, oh Lord, let me see another day somewhere between raising hell and amazing grace.
To come here. Hi, I'm Patrice Della Osa. I'm the oldest daughter of Joe Shambo, and I just want to thank all of you for everything you've done. It's been a blessing. And his last days at the VA hospital were pretty amazing, and he was where he wanted to be, and I know he will miss all of you. So thank you so much.
Some of us here in the Sunflower Poker Club can attest to his ability to play poker to full house Joe.
Well, I've got to say something about Christine, or try to. You never know how close you are to someone until you lose them. And she was not just special to Sunflower, she was special to the realtors community. She served on the MLS board for years, and she just helped many, many people. She will leave a hole in the Vets Club.
I just like to say we're saying goodbye to four wonderful members of our community. We saw quite a video there of Joe, and some of us visited with him every Friday morning when he and Jodi would have breakfast. There's also Dick Cullum, who I had the privilege, and thanks to Peggy, for sitting with him for a whole day, half of a day, while she went and did her chores. And to listen to him talk about his boat and the people he used to work with in his life before he started slowing down was a real gift to me. And I want to say thanks to Peggy. And Pat, I didn't know Pat, and some of us might not have known Pat, but I'm sure he left a mark that's as strong as anybody else's. And of course, Christine, I met her for the first time at a board meeting, and I'm ashamed of myself now since she's gone, because I didn't treat her very well and she didn't treat me very well, but we became very good friends. She was a wonderful person. But I just wanted to say that even if we knew them a little bit or didn't know them at all, they left an impact in this community, the Veterans Club, and to the United States of America. Thank you.
Go ahead, Tom.
Joe was my neighbor, and in 2024, my husband passed away, and he was 100% disabled. Joe helped me get through all the paperwork. He would print out the forms, he'd fill them out, he'd send them in, and then if there was another form, he'd call me to his home and we'd get that. He was a blessing. He really, really helped me, and I thank him so much.
Tom, go ahead if you're ready.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Thank you, first of all, for the opportunity. I just want to say one short thing. Joe, his legacy is not going to be measured by his rank or his title or his accomplishments. His legacy lives in the veterans that he's helped, the families he comforted, and the friendships he built over a lifetime of service. Joe made a difference, a real difference. Brother, your duty is done. Your watch is over. You served your country honorably, and you served your fellow veterans faithfully. Rest in peace, Joe. You'll never be forgotten. Thank you.
When I moved here 12 years ago, I had no idea what the VA was or any of those kind of things. And Joe took me, got me through the system up to 100% service connected now. And you have no idea what it does for you. And last, Christine, a great lady, and in case people didn't know here, she is the one who anonymously donated the 1,000 for the donuts and has done a lot of things for us, but I wanted to thank her.
I just want to say that
I'm one of the veterans that Joe helped, and he's helped thousands and thousands, and he just never turned anybody away. You know, and a friend of mine whose husband died, that was a veteran, and he wasn't even service connected, and he helped her get something to stifle out of it. You know, he wasn't even a part of the community or anything, and Joe was there to help them. Anytime the veteran had their hand out, Joe was right there for them. It was just incredible. And I remember going down to Building 4 where he worked down at the VA hospital, and they've got a long line of people waiting just for Joe because he was the best VSO in Tucson. That was just to it. He got pensions when no one else could. And beside that, he's just a decent human being. I spent a lot of time with him. I stopped down to see him at the hospital, not this last time, but a couple of hospitalizations ago. And he's really, really going to be missed. It's leaving a hole in our community, and as well with Christine Schaefer. I can't say enough good things. She was always there, and her financial contributions has enabled our club to continue to serve veterans in this area, both disabled, homeless, and just veterans. Thank you.
I've known Joe since 72, and I knew the girls when they were little poop heads. And he's always been around, always wanting to help. And when I retired, he told me, "Are you going to get into the VA?" That's the way I plan on doing it one of these days. Well, he kept after me until I enrolled. And then he says, "Okay, now we're going to start working on your 100%. For 15 years, we worked on it. And I've been 100% now for 6 years, all because of Joe. But the biggest thing I remember about that little fat boy, he was on my butt. I was in the Army. I was in Vietnam. He was in the Air Force in Vietnam. All I heard was his air-conditioned room, his refrigerator in his room went out for 2 days. I didn't know they had rooms like that in Vietnam. But he kept it up, and every time I'd see him, he goes, "Is your air conditioner fine?" Just to make fun of me. But I love that man. I've never seen a man his size move as fast as he could playing racquetball. That's one of his favorite sports, and he could run anybody down. But referring to what he's done to the veterans, I've heard him get on everybody's butt when he had his own little office. "Why aren't you doing what I told you to do? Why haven't you called like I told you?" "Oh, don't worry, I'll do it for you." And he did. He helped my granddaughter. She's up to 100% now too, because Joe started it. And that I've loved more than anything. And he will be missed.
Okay, I would just like to say something about Christine Schaefer. I adored her. She was so wonderful. And she's going to be missed terribly. Her loss is going to be felt for a very long time. And she did so much for the veterans, and I'm just going to miss her a lot. And as far as Joe goes, I got close to Joe and Jodi through my husband, Bob, because Joe came and played poker. And when he was, for the short time that he was over at assisted living, all the poker guys would go over to where he was staying, and they would play poker with him. And I know Joe really appreciated that. But and as far as Jodi goes, Bob and I will be there to support her. I'm gonna miss Joe a lot. He was a wonderful, wonderful person. But we are here to support Jodi in the coming weeks, years, and I just hope God gives us time to be with her. So thank you very much. Okay, we're going to introduce Jodi Clarke. She's our speaker today. She is going to, she's from the VA Vision Impaired Service Team. So Jodi, if you would come up.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. I enjoyed listening to all those stories, and it's hard to follow that, so I'll do my best. My title at the VA is called VIST Coordinator. That is an acronym because the VA loves their acronyms, and it stands for Visual Impairment Services Team. Pretty much, I'm like a case manager. When veterans are identified as having a visual impairment or blindness, typically a staff member at the VA gives me a nudge to kind of check into that person's record and reach out to them and see if they're eligible for our services. Now, I have so much that I can say about this. I'm going to be a little bit scattered, but bear with me. First, I'd like to say there is at least one of me in every state in the United States, but some states have more than me. So there are 3 of us here in Arizona. I'm here in Tucson. There's one up in Phoenix, and there's one up in Prescott. So if a veteran on my caseload is kind of moving to a different state, I kind of try to do a warm handoff to the VIST coordinator that'll be continuing with their services. Now, you hear the terms vision impairment and you hear the terms blindness. When I was young growing up, I heard the word blind and I immediately thought everybody was like Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles. You couldn't see the light of day. Well, that's not true. To be legally blind, you have to have an acuity of 20/200 or worse in your best eye after correction. Now you hear the terms 20/200 and you're like, what the heck does that mean? What that means is what somebody with good vision can see from 200 feet away, somebody who's legally blind has to be 20 feet away to see the same thing. So most people who are considered legally blind, in fact, 90% of people who are legally blind have usable vision. Vision impairment is kind of the catchment between driving and legal blindness. At the VA, we give that a term. We call that excess disability. Okay? That's kind of, I have to look at somebody, go, where do they fall? What can I offer? So at the VA, the things that I can help steer veterans toward are inpatient and outpatient services. Outpatient services consist of a 90-minute low vision exam. Now, to talk about a low vision exam, let's talk about the 3 different eye exams offered at the VA. You hear the term optometrist, you hear the term ophthalmologist. People sometimes don't know the difference of the 2. Optometrist is typically who you go to check out the health of your eye and maybe to get a new pair of glasses. Okay? Ophthalmologist is who you would go to if something else is going on with your eyes. Maybe there's bleeding in the back of your eyes. Maybe you need some laser treatments to stop that bleeding, or maybe you need a medication. That kind of thing. Surgery, cataract surgery, that's all ophthalmology. A low vision exam is typically done by an optometrist, and they start where the other 2 kind of stop as far as correction for vision. Many of the veterans on my caseload were told, well, you're legally blind and there's nothing more we can do for you. I get frustrated when I hear people tell me that because there is so much more that we can do. So where normal glasses kind of stop and they can't correct your eyes anymore, a low vision optometrist says, come our way, let's try other things. So a low vision exam looks at magnification, telescopes, maybe a device to help you watch TV, maybe a pocket magnifier, maybe filtered glasses to kind of keep out the glare of sun, so much more. I can offer to people an outpatient specialist, and that is somebody that can come into the home to work with somebody to transition the glasses and devices that they get at a low vision exam to learn how to use them in their everyday kind of environment. Maybe to mark different appliances in their kitchen tactually so they don't have to strain to kind of bend forward and look at how to, or I'm sorry, like if I was gonna be heating up a cup of water for a cup of tea, you know, I want to hit maybe the 2 button for 2 minutes. And if I can't see that, I have to get my magnifier out. And if I can't do that, we can put something sticky that attaches to the microwave called a bump dot. All I have to do is touch that dot and the 2 button is activated. Those kind of things. Then we have our inpatient program, and that's what I am most proud of. Before I continue, just so you know, over where Bruce is sitting, I have brought some brochures today on the inpatient program that I'm going to be talking about. I also have brochures that have my name and number on it. If you want to know more, if you or somebody you love might be eligible for our services, you're going to go over to that table before you leave today, I hope, and grab a brochure. Our inpatient program is in Building 30 at the VA on Ajo and 6th Avenue. We have been there for a very long time. I've worked at the VA there for 30 years. I started there as a young intern at the age of 24, and I'm still there today. So over in Building 30, it's called the Southwestern Blind Rehabilitation Center. And our kind of what we exist for is to take somebody and think of everything they might be doing from the moment they wake up in the morning till the moment they go to bed at night. What is difficult? What is their vision preventing them from doing independently? So we break down life into 5 different areas. One area is called low vision, and that's where we work with those devices that I mentioned, the magnifiers, the telescope, the filtered glasses, things to help people read, things to help people see maybe a sporting event or a concert or a play, etc., etc. That's a low vision. We have an area called rehabilitation teaching, also known as living skills, and what that is everything from when you wake up in the morning, you're trying to brush your teeth, maybe make your bed, maybe make yourself a cup of coffee, write down a note from a phone call you just got, maybe cooking a meal. Some people want to learn how to use Braille. That all falls into our living skills area. We have an area called orientation and mobility. That's what I became certified in. That's my master's degree, actually. I'm a certified orientation and mobility specialist. We look at how do people walk around. We look at safety, independence, and gracefulness. You see people walking with a cane. Not everybody who's blind wants to use a cane or needs a cane. Some people need a walker. Some people need to get around in a power chair. Some people fake it pretty well because they know the area and they don't use a cane at all. But maybe when they're in an unfamiliar area, they can unfold a cane and kind of use it there. But that was my job. I would look at what does somebody want to do? Do they want to cross the street and just get their mail? Do they want to go grocery shopping? Do they want to learn how to ride the city bus, the tram? That's all falls into the orientation and mobility area. We have an area called manual skills, hand tools, power tools, woodworking, measuring, building, crafting. We break it down into kind of a basic area and an advanced area. We offer leather working, woodworking. We have 2 looms where people are making things like rugs. We do copper toolings. And we don't do it to teach somebody a craft so they go home and do this. What we're looking at is their bimanual coordination, their dexterity, their hand strength, their tactual perception. We're trying to improve all of that because when you have a vision impairment, you're using your hands to feel a little bit more, to gather a little bit more information than your eyes can give you. Then we have an area called technology. By golly, technology is in every area of our lives nowadays. It consists of cell phones, tablets like iPads or Kindles, Samsung Galaxy tablets, laptops, desktop computers, all these applications that you hear about that can do all these wonderful things. When we lose our vision later in life and we haven't used devices like that before, it's not easy all the time. You know, we have sons and daughters that buy mom and dad the latest gadget because they hear it's great. And mom and dad look at it and they're like, I don't know how to use it. And that's where we come in and say, well, we'll teach you. Let's see if you can use it. To participate in our inpatient program, people have to have stable health. They have to have a vision impairment or blindness. And their mental capacity needs to be, pretty much intact. We all have normal aging, normal brains. We forget things, that's okay. But if we're getting into dementia, then maybe we need to not do the inpatient. Maybe we need to bring the training to the home. And that's where I, again, can send out our outpatient specialist. Okay. Our services are not a one and done kind of thing. I'm very proud to say that we are there as people age and as people's vision changes. So when they come in, they can come in again. I've had people go through our program, go home with all these wonderful devices and experience even more vision loss after they go home. And now the devices that they got don't work anymore. I can send them back in for training. I can send somebody else out to work. And if you can't read print at all visually, there are devices and applications nowadays that can take pictures of print and read them out loud to you with a computerized artificial intelligent voice. So there are always things we can do. Even if somebody has dementia and maybe in an assisted living home, there are things we can do. We can work with the staff to show them maybe how to walk with them safely. Maybe we can do a sunglass evaluation. Maybe we can look at something called an Amazon Echo, if everybody has heard of Alexa. That's a simple way sometimes that people can say, Alexa, play some music, or set an alarm clock, or check the weather. Okay? There's always different things that we try to be able to do. Now, of course, my job at the VA, I do a lot of other boring things. You don't need to know about everything. I do a lot of phone calls. I do a lot of report writing. We had some VSOs in my building. I wish, listening to the story about Joe, I wish that he was in my building back then. We did have some very good VSOs, and I would refer out to that. And nowadays, I feel like I'm referring to national numbers, quick submit online. But that is another part of my job, to see, what did you do in the service? Did you have an injury? Did something happen? Is your health worsening because of something that you experienced? So then I have to look into benefits and all that good stuff. Other times, veterans have been rejected for services at the VA. I don't know if that's you or if that's ever happened or anybody that you know. The VA looks at how long were you in the service, where were you in the service, how much money do you make. I can override a rejection if somebody is considered legally blind. So if anybody in this room has been rejected for VA services but are legally blind, let me know and I can get you enrolled at the VA. Okay. I feel like I talked a lot. There's so much more I probably am missing, but please, does anybody have any questions about specific types of visual impairments, eye diseases, or services that we can provide?
I have a question.
Sure.
What kind of programs do you have that are provided by volunteer services?
So the voluntary services are the backbone of the VA. We run on volunteers. And when COVID happened back in 2020, every single staff member at our blind rehab center were integrated into the VA in lieu of our volunteers. So our volunteers do everything from greeting veterans, escorting them to different appointments that they have. They help with running labs back and forth. They're gophers to help run things to certain services. Sometimes volunteers are just people that can sit and talk with a veteran who might be lonely or live in an isolated spot. Sometimes that can happen over the phone too. So voluntary services is a big part of our organization, and boy, did we feel it during COVID. But hey, if you want to know more, if you want to volunteer at the VA, just call the main VA number, ask for the operator, say, connect me to voluntary services, and they'll tell you how to get started. All right, thank you.
We would like to give you, a $500 check for your services, and I know you will put that to very good use.
So, yeah. I just want to let you all know, when we get a check like this, I do give it to voluntary services and they put it in. And then if blind rehab needs it, they'll have something to go for, but voluntary services can use it too. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Take care.
Appreciate
Thank you for coming.
it.
Okay, next is Gordon. He's our treasurer. He's going to give us a report.
Good morning. I wanted to start by talking about Jodi as a volunteer on Fridays. The first time they sent me to Building 30, I'm used to going to a hospital room in the facility and looking at the bed and seeing if I know the person or I'll ask the name. But in 30, I noticed their names were on the doors. It was like they were in a long-term program, and I always thought that was real good. And I was just personally thinking about the people I saw walking around. Amazing. Thank you. Okay, here's the treasurer's report for June 1st to June 30th. We started with a balance of $4,791.59. On the 3rd, I made a deposit of $187, and that was for $37 from the tin can, and there was a $30 donation that someone had given Jodi in honor of Joe, so we co-signed it, and I just passed it into the club, and thank you, Jodi, for that. On the 11th, I had a donation of a deposit of $217. Those were from people who won at bingo on Tuesday night. And they contributed some of their winnings of the prizes they got from bingo. Carol Abramson, $20. Tina Turpin, $5. I won, so I donated $20. Lars Erup, $100. Thank you, Lars. Judy D'Amato, 12. Marcy Cecilot, 10. Kevin Kirkney, 10. And Peggy Hartstook, 40 for $217. And everybody who plays bingo is pretty much on board with that. So thank you, and the club appreciates it. I also made a deposit on the 11th of $650. That was from Roger Daggett to help fund the summer cookout. On the 18th, I had a $100 deposit. It was a donation to the club here, just an anonymous donation of $100. On the 24th, I deposited $50, and that was from the social night when Kay Walters won bingo, and she donated her whole $50 prize to that. Thank you, Kay. And there was also one PayPal deposit that came back as $23.64. I'm told that somebody might have paid for their membership on PayPal, but I don't know who it was. Does anybody here? Did they do that? Okay, well, whoever you were, thank you. And I don't know how to keep track of it. PayPal just doesn't give us that. When they forward it into the bank account, it just shows us a dollar amount. $23 less the service fee that they charged us for the 25. On expenses on the 3rd, $77.38 to Dennis Abrams for donuts. On the 3rd, also a $300 check we wrote for a donation to the Boulder Crest Foundation. They gave, I think, a speech here, and we followed it up with the donation. And then the $500 check that we just presented to Jodi. That leaves us with a closing balance of $5,022.14. Questions? One other thing I noticed, I just sort of printed from my 1968 past life. As a radioman second class, or E5 in the Navy, with 3 years but less than 4, my monthly pay was $291 monthly. So, and I always seem to have money, so thank you.
Under new business, we're always looking for veterans to interview who are willing to share their personal military story. So if anybody would like to step up to the plate, come see me, and we will get you set up for an interview. Our summer picnic is coming up July 11th. We could use a few more volunteers. The sign-up sheet is up here on the front table if anybody would like to help. Flags will be placed along Sunflower Drive for July 4th. We have an early put up date at 6 a.m. And then we're going to have them taken down July 5th at 7:30 p.m. Any help will be appreciated. And under old business, since Malcolm Potter passed away, he was helping Dick too with the veterans T-shirts or shirts. So since his passing, we have a vacancy that if anybody would love to help Dick with that, I know he would greatly appreciate that. Challenge coins are still available at $10. Do we have any new or returning attendees, any veterans we'd like to acknowledge? All right. Dave, you want to come up and you have a few things you would like to say for the under the good of the cause?
Good morning. On each table, I put a news release in Vietnam, exposure to Agent Orange, and a poem called A Soldier. The first thing I like to read off is a news release. Arizona House approves property tax exemption for the 100% service disabled veterans and surviving spouse. Remember, surviving spouse. So it's the bill. It's HB 2672. So if you're at 100%, you don't have to pay property taxes. Each table has one of these. The second thing that I dropped off was Vietnam veterans exposed to Agent Orange. If you were in Vietnam, there's about 25 known diseases that Agent Orange causes. The good thing about this is presumptions. VA recognizes certain cancers and other health problems as presumptive diseases associated with exposure to Agent Orange or other herbicides during military service. This means that the burden of truth is less, and the VA automatically assumes to presume that your service caused your condition. So if you were in Vietnam, you qualify for one of these 25, go see us at Chapter 4. We're there Monday to Friday, 9 to 3. And here it is. There's one on every table. If somebody wants, I still have a couple left, so if you want, whatever. And I'd just like to thank you very much. The other thing I'd like to say, for 4 years, I was commander of Chapter 4. That's a long time. And I was just wore out. So I am no longer the commander, but I am the service officer. Well, we got 15 service officers. So any problems you have that you want to claim disability, please go and see us. Thank you very much.
Is there anything else under the good of the cause? If not, our next meeting is August 5th, and we're adjourned. Thank you so much. Thank you.